Welcome to episode number 173 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on February 2, 2017. A lot of things to talk about this week, as we do every week. Beyonce's pregnant, big news. Facebook TV, we have bacon. AI in plain English. Starbucks conscious capitalism. Delete Uber. The Lego Network, ghost chatting, Tostitos designated driver, and much, much more. We are now starting out with the best rather than saving the worst till last. And BL, you have the honor to kick it off. What was the best story of the week?
Well, there was a huge panic because it was reported that there was a bacon shortage, and it turned out to be a publicity stunt. The USDA, boosted by the Ohio Pork Council, reported that the country's frozen pork belly inventory was at its lowest point in half a century. This is from a New York Times story by Joe Coscarelli, and then on Twitter by Patrick LaForge, who said, "Don't worry, it's fake news." But so they even created a website, www.baconshortage.com. And in case you don't know, pork belly's the greasy, delicious meat slices that we put on everything. And there were reserves at the end of the year of 2016 of only 17.8 million pounds, down more than 35 pounds from the prior year. However, a reserve is there just for a situation like this. It's a reserve. So anyhow, panic ensued. There were tweets like, "Bacon shortage, say it isn't so. Hashtag March for Bacon. Hashtag bacon shortage. Hashtag Dachshund. Hashtag struggle is real." And then there was there was Brett Cohn. He said, "Can we blame this on Donald Trump? There was no bacon shortage under Barack Obama." So, but the truth is this: the reserves are there. There won't be any rationing. You can still have your BLTs or your quiche or your bacon wrapped whatever, or your apples and ice cream with bacon, or your bacon footballs. So Steve Meyer, the vice president of pork analysis, there is such a job, I don't know why I don't have that job, for EMI Analytics, said in an interview, "There's plenty of hogs coming. There's going to be plenty of bacon." So a Mr. Deaton of the Ohio Pork Council acknowledged in an interview that it was merely a marketing opportunity. He said to create a panic was not our intent, and he laughed. "We can control how the news is interpreted. Do not mess with our bacon, mister."
So there's a bacon reserve. Who knew?
Who knew, right?
Kind of like the strategic oil reserve. The strategic
right, yeah,
bacon
it's
reserve.
about as important.
Just in case.
Just in case we run out of bacon. I mean, you have to understand, the best bacon in New York City is at the Boathouse in Central Park. And every Saturday, we take all our dogs and we go and we sit out on the, there's a terrace outside in the middle of the freezing winter. I mean, tomorrow we'll be doing this. We sit out there with our dogs and we eat bacon, because what they do is a hint for you. What they do is they bake the bacon. They don't fry the bacon, and that makes for the best delicious bacon, and we share it with the dogs.
All right.
Now, we cannot deny the dogs bacon. I'm sorry.
Gotta try that. So no transition here. Facebook is apparently getting into the TV game. Not that we didn't see hints of that in past episodes. We've talked about it. But this is a story from The Verge by Casey Newton, who reports that the Wall Street Journal reports, which I'd actually cite the Wall Street Journal if they'd let me read their stuff, but they don't. It's all behind the paywall. So The Verge gets credit. Facebook has been building an app for set-top boxes like Apple TV. They're also talking, we talked about this in past, last episode maybe, if I remember correctly, of Facebook talking to media companies about licensing scripted television shows, which would obviously be available on the app if indeed they're building this. It's part of a long-term strategy to build video as the center of the platform. That makes sense. They're asking media companies to develop programming in exchange for a licensing fee. So the shows reportedly would be 10 minutes long and consist of both sports and scripted shows, which of course Facebook could then use to sell ads. Publishers are heavily reliant on advertising, as we know, as a revenue stream. So this could Well, I mean, because they're heavily relying on advertising, they go after massive audiences to make it the economics of it work, but often at the expense of quality. If you watch network TV, you'll notice that.
We don't watch network TV.
Right. But if they're getting license fee from Facebook for programming, then that could be a different or better revenue stream for them. They wouldn't have to seek as massive audiences. They could do niche audiences to appeal to niche audiences, and potentially a better economic model for them. So we'll see.
Well, there's an interesting addition to that, which is that apparently the new administration just ruled against allowing competition for these set-top boxes. And so it's time to cut our cords again. And Facebook is so smart to be right there and ready to be the substitute. And given our attention spans, which are shorter than those of goldfish, 10 minutes will be just right.
That's right.
So back to more conscious capitalism. Well, that is conscious capitalism, I must say, in a different light. But Starbucks chairman Howard Schultz, who I sincerely hope is planning a presidential run in 2020, says we will hire 10,000 refugees in expression of conscious capitalism. Starbucks has employees in 75 countries. They employ more than 250,000 people. And on their website, in an open letter to employees, Schultz pledged that they would employ at least that many new employees, 10,000, and that would be refugees. And he said if the Affordable Care Act goes away, Starbucks employees will always have health insurance, and that they will support the dreamers across our country, including the young men and women who are part of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And it's not the first time he's stepped up to the plate, which is why I'm so crazy about this man. Starbucks has a college education reimbursement program for all of their employees. And in a first of its kind at Arizona State University, which is online university, they offer all part-time and full-time students full tuition coverage for every year of college if they earn a bachelor's degree. And they also support veterans. The civic engagement of the veteran community by Starbucks is unparalleled. They employ 8,000 veterans and military spouses, and they have military stores dedicated to the men and women united by their courage to serve our country. And 30 of these stores serve as a model for engaging within the military community. And they have Military Mondays and Adopt a Unit programs. So, this is what capitalism can be. And God, I wish we could see more of it. Thank you, Starbucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it used to be that way. It used to be we see workers' productivity continuing to rise, but the disparity between the highest and the lowest paid continues to rise. It continues to expand as well. The more people do better, the better we all do, I think. So good for them. We talk a lot about artificial intelligence on this show over and over again, but it's a topic that's so big and often so confusing that it just kind of goes in so many parts to it that it kind of goes over people's heads. But I came across last week an excellent example of both parallax scrolling web technique and how to tell a complex story simply. And so this is a website, or a page actually, by Snips that describes artificial intelligence and explains it basically in plain English. Discusses
that's a first.
Yeah, exactly. It discusses machine learning. It explains deep learning. Explains natural language processing, context awareness, voice commands and assistants, content data sets, and how they all kind of work together to form artificial intelligence. So we'll put a link to this page in the show notes so you can take a look at it. But anybody who wants a better understanding or is bewildered by what AI really is, it's a good example of that.
I also highly recommend reading Robert Scoble and Shel Israel's new book, The Fourth Transformation, which describes how all of this is going to impact our lives. And they are also writing in very plain understandable language. I was telling you before that I was going to a conference about artificial intelligence and virtual reality, and I went to that the other night, and really didn't learn anything new. But what I saw there was that what was being said was new to everybody in the audience, just about, with very few exceptions. So there really is a lack of understanding. There's like a group up here that are following and involved and creating and trying to sell. It's hard to sell when people don't understand what the hell you're talking about. I can give vouch for that. But but then there's everybody else and smart people, not involved people. But it's hard to get your head around what this is, because the people who talk about it tend to be engineers and geeks.
Yes, indeed. So are we through with the good stuff?
No, I got lots more.
All right,
Okay, so there's a new social network for kids by our favorite marketers, Lego. It's called Lego Life, and it's a safe online social network where kids can share their Lego creations and connect with other kids who do those things. It's an iOS and Android application, and it's aimed at kids under 13, and it's got protections in sight to ensure that it remains child-friendly. And it said there, the idea, and this is what I love about them, the idea came by watching how kids shared their creation in their cool creations section of the Lego Club magazine, and they were posting stories and photos of their Lego building to the company's message boards. So Lego Life is to take that activity into the online world and offer them tools to inspire future building and earn rewards and comment on, create a community. I just think that's wonderful.
Well, Lego is such an amazing company in so many different ways, but this is an example of why, because they listen and they pay attention to how their customers use their products. We've seen a lot of the YouTube has a lot of animated Lego movies or that people have just put together. I am convinced that Lego noticed that people are putting together doing their own animations with Lego
That's
pieces.
why they did the Lego.
And that's why they did the Lego movie, right?
Sure.
So now there's the Batman
Lego
movie coming out. Yeah.
So the Super Bowl is coming up. I don't know when. When is that coming up, Dave? You'll know that.
This Sunday.
This Sunday. The Super Bowl is this Sunday. And so Tostitos has come up with a party bag that you blow on the Tostitos in this party bag, and they'll know if you were drinking, and if you were, they'll call you an Uber.
That's a good idea.
My potato chip calls all my Ubers, doesn't it? So speaking of virtual reality and augmented reality, Snapchat, which just announced their IPO apparently earlier today, is testing smarter snap lenses or whatever they're called, snapicles. I've forgotten what they're called, but they can identify and interact with real world objects. And this is from a Mac Rumors story by Mitchell Broussard. He said they're working on a collection of smarter lenses that will kind of bring Pokemon to real life, that users overlay virtual images and objects onto landscapes in the real world, not just faces, and then interact with those real objects, similar to augmented reality. And they're an advancement of world lenses that came to Snapchat last year, and they had put simple animations on top of real world scenes like clouds and snowstorms. But the new technology can identify environmental elements and allow virtual objects to interact with objects in the real world instead of just being a filter. And the smarter lenses are hopefully also, well, not hopefully, are surely going to lead to advertising opportunities for brands. Of course, there has to be, it has to scale. There has to be a model. In games, there are product placements, and we'll have them here too. And if and when they're released, users would get the lenses before advertisers, and then we'll see how the Snapchat base responds to them, and it's a real smart strategy for a company that's going public as of today.
So you could presumably put virtual objects anchored to the real world somewhere.
Right.
As a creator, you could do that. As an advertiser, you could do that, right? Now that's pretty cool.
You know how there
Yep.
were signs outside of places like Pokemon in here and that
But
kind
then
of.
we'd have all this clutter in this virtual augmented clutter in our way from advertising, like the bill.
Well, you know, that's
We complain
inevitable.
about the
And
billboards, right?
I mean, my friend EB has observed that, you know, it's going to happen that people will walk on all fours and there'll be one eye in the middle of their head because they have their phone. You know, that's coming, and we'll have augmented reality. I mean, and you know, I've gotten to the point where I'm really nasty when people like bump into me because they're not watching. You're just like, it depends on the day, but you know, I can be really mean. So here's the greatest news that J.C. Penney ever had. Beyonce is pregnant with twins, and she announced it on her website. And she has a poem, "I Have Three Hearts," and it's all really beautiful. And you know, it's hard to say who's happier about this, Beyonce and Jay-Z or J.C. Penney, because where did she do the gorgeous photos that are all over her website? She did them in the J.C. Penney portrait studio. So J.C. Penney, of course, is over the moon about this because they're gorgeous. And, you know, I imagine she had her team of art directors and stylists and everybody else in there. I don't think she just walked in and threw some flowers behind her, but it's gorgeous. You know, they're beautiful. And the website is beautiful. We'll put the link to it. But, you know, J.C. Penney is over the moon. I mean, what could happen to them that could be better than that?
I don't know. Are you sure that's not a paid placement there? Because it kind of sounds like it.
Well, you know, more power to Beyonce
Yeah.
if it was. I mean, you go, girl, you know, she's going to have twins.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a beautiful idea. I have three hearts, and you
That
know,
is, yeah.
it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. So that's all my good news.
All right. Well, I've got to sit back, get some coffee or something because this is a little bit long one, but this is kind of worse, kind of fascinating too at the same time. Ghost chatting. This is from a Quartz story by Adrienne Mattel, and so we all ask a question: what's going to happen to my digital life when I die? We probably haven't thought through all of that. What happens to all the content I've created over the course of my life, and that's something people are grappling with, right? And you know, just starting to think about and grapple with right now. But what if it's possible, and I think we've talked about this in previous episode, what if it's possible to maintain your personality after you've shuffled off this mortal coil? So not just the content you've created, but your actual personality. Hossein Ranama of Ryerson University and MIT Media Lab is working on something that kind of can do that. It's a chat bot crafted from your personal data. He calls it augmented eternity.
Oh, I hate that.
50 or 60 years from now, millennials will have amassed 1 trillion gigabytes of data, which he says is just what is needed to create a digital version of yourself. Ranama's AI program builds upon your digital archive that you leave behind, which includes obviously emails, texts, tweets, Snapchats. He feeds those into artificial neural networks. Again, there's our AI thing. They're like model brains that understand language patterns, and thanks to the neural network's ability to think for itself, a person's digital being continues to evolve after the physical being has passed on. So in
Sounds
this
like
way,
Black Mirror.
I'm getting to that. In this way, an augmented eternity bot would keep aware of current events, develop new opinions, become an entity that's based on a real person rather than a facsimile of who they were at the time of their death. Black Mirror, of course, did an episode of this in 2013 called Be Right Back, in which a widow uses a service to collect her dead partner's digital footprint and reconstitute him first as a chatbot and then ultimately as a realistic android. We'll include a clip to that in the show notes.
That was one of the scariest of the episodes, you know.
But then also think about Rogue One. So Rogue One just came out with amazing CG effects, and this is from a David Lum article on Engadget. So Rogue One has the movie digitally resurrected a character that was in the first Star Wars movie, portrayed by Peter Cushing, who of course passed away in 1994. So they chose an actor named Guy Henry, who's in a similar stature as Cushing, could affect Cushing's vocal style, and they chose him to film the character's performances while wearing motion capture uh, uh, technology on his head. And then they digitally layered Cushing's face on top of Henry's performance, which was a rigorous undertaking. We have a video clip where you can see how they did it. Think about that. We've talked about, you can, resurrect actors. Like Humphrey Bogart could conceivably do a new film, right? With the technology that we have at our disposal. We talked about Photoshop for audio in a past episode,
which was another really scary idea, because your voice can be recreated to say anything.
Yeah, so Adobe's working on this software. You can record your own voice, and then it can recreate words based on the sample of your voice in your own voice. So you can make yourself or anyone whose voice sample you have say things they never said.
I can think of how that's going to be used, and it's making the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
We're getting to the point where we can replicate humans digitally. And I think about my entire online presence, all the emails, all the text mails, my social presence, my blog posts, these podcasts. The blog posts and the podcasts in particular are how I think. They are, we talk about our thoughts and what our opinions on different things. So algorithms are getting to the point where they could actually interpret that and recreate your reasoning.
Well, I tried to create, there are some ways that you can ask people, like I tried to ask my sister to, if I were to die, to take me off of Facebook and give her the permit. She's like, why? Are you all right? Is something wrong? What's going on? I mean, the whole, there's no way around it that isn't creepy.
Well, I imagine there are lawyers who are starting to specialize in this for estate planning, right?
Yeah, no, actually, I did an interview with Daniel Antonelli. I asked him about that, and he was saying that you should put in your will how you want your digital. I can put a link to that video. So another brouhaha on the internet happened over the weekend. A boycott Uber brouhaha, and it was in response, this is from the Be Careful What You Wish For department, what you ask for. Over the weekend, activists and celebrities started using Twitter to urge the boycott of Uber using the hashtag #DeleteUber. And it started when New York Taxi Workers Alliance called for a temporary halt to rides heading to JFK as a gesture of solidarity with the visitors who were suddenly being detained because of President Bannon's order. And so Uber continued to send drivers to JFK and said it wasn't going to charge surge pricing. So in the meantime, simultaneously, their competitor Lyft donated $1 million to the American Civil Liberties Union, which is fighting the travel ban in court. And for a lot of people, that was a clear reason to get rid of Uber and install Lyft instead. I already had Lyft, but I did delete Uber. So now Lyft usage is surging, and it's past Uber in daily downloads, and things are bad. And the delete Uber crew, including me and you, seems to have missed Lyft's own ties to the Trump-Bannon administration, because in 2015, Carl Icahn made a $100 million investment into Lyft. He'd been on the right horse, and his interests were represented on its board of directors through John Cristodoro of Icahn Capital. And then there's another Trump advisor who is Founders Fund, the venture capital firm founded by Peter Thiel. He was the leader of Lyft's B round, and he invested in the next 2 rounds. And a Lyft spokesperson said to CNBC, "We don't always agree with our investors, and we aren't afraid to say so. We do respect their right and that of every other American to freedom of expression." So subsequently, Lyft's president, who was on some advisory board in the White House, said he's not going to be there. And, or was it Uber's? I'm Uber's, yeah, right. So, things get a little out of hand really fast online, and that was one example.
Oops.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for and what you wish for, you know. But I mean, I think the bottom line here is that none of the billionaires seem to lose anything.
Right.
So I have another one, and this is sort of ironic because Starbucks has made their mobile app better so that you can order and pay for your drink, and then you just have to come in and pick it up. And in what you might describe as a luxury problem, which I read about in Business Insider in a story by Haley Peterson, they're being inundated with mobile orders to the point where they're alienating their customers, and there was a 4% drop in the company's stock. So Howard Schultz, the CEO, said he's not worried. The market overreacted. They'll have a fix soon. And he said, you know, it's been pointed out that people are staying home more and not going out. And he's saying, no, we provide, and I'm sure he's right about this, we provide an emotional experience for customers, and it's all going to be fine, maybe.
So by mobile orders, he means ordering from a mobile app while you're at a Starbucks?
No, before you get there. You
Right, but
order
to
and
pick
say
it
when
up
you're
while
coming.
yeah. So they're not, I assume they're not fulfilling those orders quickly enough.
Right. People are standing
Yeah.
in line waiting for the orders, and just the very thing they were
Yes.
trying to avoid.
Yep.
You know, it's sort of an embarrassment of riches, but it proves that the app works. And yeah, they will figure it out, you know, because they do. So there we go.
All right.
It's a mixed bag, you know.
Well,
That
shiny
brings
new
us to
stuff.
apps. Yeah. Go ahead, give us
Yeah.
one.
No, you go ahead. You got two of them. I'll go
Okay.
in the middle.
So with the now that I know that the Super Bowl is coming up, Chipotle and Avocados from Mexico teamed up to create a game. It's called Kato Crusher, and what you do is you go online and you have 3 rounds where you can whack-a-mole of ingredients to make your own version of Chipotle's guacamole. And if you're fast enough, you get a mobile offer good for a free order of chips and guacamole with the purchase of any entree at any Chipotle through February 28th. And then you hope that you don't get whatever that stomach issue was that Chipotle was dealing with.
So 2 great apps that go great together, or 2 great tools that go great together. MailChimp announced this week that they are now allowing you to create Facebook advertising directly within MailChimp. And so
Cool.
MailChimp is a email marketing service that a lot of small business owners, small businesses use. And so what they've done is basically create campaigns for emails in MailChimp. You can now create Facebook ad campaigns. You connect your Facebook page account to your MailChimp account, and then through the MailChimp interface, you can do a campaign. So it takes you through a very simplified process of creating ads. You can create ads that you can advertise directly to your email subscribers. So you connect your list that you want to advertise to on Facebook from MailChimp, and you can create an ad that targets those people. You can create a new audience that is similar to your email subscribers. So you can use that to find more people who are more likely to subscribe to your newsletter or your email list through Facebook. And you can just create a normal Facebook ad to targeting new people. And so it's a very simplified interface, which makes it easier for business owners who don't have a lot of experience creating Facebook ads to use. It doesn't have nearly as much flexibility as the native Facebook ad interface with the Power Editor, but really a good idea. And best of all, MailChimp isn't taking cut of any of the Facebook ads that you place through it.
Yeah, and there we go, giving Facebook even more of our personal information in the form of our email newsletter subscribers' emails. So, you know, everything has an edge to it these days. So I'd probably rather be playing with this next app on Sunday than watching the football game, and I'm going to watch the commercials online, so there's really no reason to watch the football game. I can catch up with the rest of season 3 of Black Mirror. But this is an app called Perfect 365, and it's a makeup app. and it's created by ArcSoft, and it lets you use virtual makeup tools and a bunch of color options, and you can play around with looks until you find the one that you like the best. And what you do is you upload a selfie, and then the app uses face detection to determine your best shades of foundation and eyeshadow and eyeliner. And it also has beauty tutorials from YouTube beauty vloggers who probably do get a cut of the action, and production recommendations and daily makeup and style tips. And I gotta tell you, my 16-year-old niece is gonna go wild over this.
BL, you just complained about MailChimp and Facebook learning more about your newsletter subscribers, and you just described an app that literally steals your face.
I said there's an edge to everything, you know?
True. That's true. Let's wrap this up. Super Bowl Sunday is Sunday, BL. I know you're not going to pay attention, but a lot of people do.
I want to watch the halftime show. I want to see if Madonna says fuck.
I got some stats for you, BL.
Okay.
Super Bowl spending. National Retail Federation did a survey, and as they do. And American consumers will spend an average of $75 for a total of $14.1 billion on the Super Bowl. An estimated 188.5 million will watch the Atlanta Falcons, good guys, hopefully defeat the evil New England Patriots in Super Bowl 51 on February 5, this Sunday. Viewership is going to be about the same as last year's, 188.9 million. But spending is down from an average of $82 to a total of $15.5 billion. Of the 76% who surveyed who plan to watch the game, 80% say they will purchase food and beverages. 11% will buy team apparel or accessories. 8% will buy new televisions to watch the game at home. Only over 43% of viewers say the most important part of the game is the game itself. 24% say the commercials. 15% just want to hang out with their friends. And 12%, BL, say the halftime show is the top highlight.
But you never know when halftime's going to be. There should be an app that tells you when halftime is.
It's in the middle of the game. That's why it's called
but the game has like extra called for this and 2 minutes for that and penalty.
So if it lasts 3 hours, a game lasts 3 hours, about an hour and a half into the game, you might want to check in, maybe an hour and 15 minutes.
Maybe you'll text me.
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, thanks. So that brings us to the end of episode 173 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you will find links to everything we talked about on our blog, and it will be at beyondsocialmediashow.com/173. Online, you will find David Erickson on Twitter. He's at D Erickson. He blogs at eStrategy Blog and creativepr.com/blog, both of which are superb, and you should definitely read them. I am BL Ochman. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I blog at What's Next Blog. I'm on YouTube, and I write Paw Fun blog, and I occasionally contribute to Ad Age Digital Next, which I really should get going on. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, so if you you can listen to the show at your convenience, and the links to Stitcher, iTunes, and iHeartRadio will be on our blog as well. And we will be back next week, same bat channel and same time. See you then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.